Weekly update for January 5th, 2018. Happy New Year to everyone. And just a week ago, when I had just finished recording the last weekly update, I managed to slip and fall on the ice and got myself a good one in the back. And I think a rib, could be a muscle, could be a bruised rib, could be a tear. It's really nothing you can do anything about. You can go to the hospital if you want. They just go, you got a bruised rib, or you got a fractured rib, or muscle tear. It's going to hurt for a while. Yes, which is true. It only hurts when I laugh, or sneeze, or cough, or yawn too enthusiastically. Anyway, so I'm moving around quite slowly, still getting everything done, but doing it at half speed. And on top of that, Dave Fisher has been called away to a family emergency in New Zealand, and he's what I've decided to do is to work ahead on the weekly updates and get those done so that it covers his travel time and means that he's not having to edit a weekly update, having just spent 24 hours on a plane coming back after only 2 weeks down under. I remember doing that myself a couple of times, and there's a reason that they recommend that you don't do that. Don't go to Australia or New Zealand just for 2 weeks. Or you're going to hurt yourself. But if that's the situation, and that's the situation David is in, that's just how it's going to happen. So we're going to try and make it as easy as possible for him. And hey, if you're in New Zealand and watching this, like I say, he's down there on a family emergency. I don't know if he will have any R&R time, but anybody's got a solid offer of something cool to do in New Zealand, or someplace that he could go and visit some Cerebus fans down under, definitely fill up the comments section with, "Hey Fisher, if you've got the time, come and hang out with us here." So in order to minimize the amount, oh, don't do that, the amount of moving around that I have to do, I'm going to make these weekly updates as much as possible just in one take. And right now I've got an interesting thing. This came in from Sean Robinson just before Christmas, and this was an answer to a question of mine, which is it going to, does Sean think it's possible for us to print the trade paperbacks through Studio Comics Press, which is digital printing? And Sean's immediate response was, I don't think so. Digital printing is just not going to be able to get it done. Whereupon I wrote him back and said, okay, looking down the road, do you think that there is some point where digital printing is going to become viable as a means of reproducing the Cerebus trade paperbacks? How far up ahead do you think that is? Or do you think that it just doesn't exist? It's a complete fiction. And I got this back from him saying, sorry, not so brief reply below. I tried. I really tried. I know you did, Sean. The reason there's currently a technical gap between plate printing and plateless printing is because there's been centuries of refinement on making plates and printing from plates, and that technology keeps on getting more and more refined and finessed without changing in any really fundamental way. So those improvements build on one another, and even though incremental, the cumulative improvement is huge. The, quote, plateless, unquote, technologies, he writes, are all still in various forms of development, even if the basic idea is now pretty old. How do you deliver the ink to the page if not with a plate? Tiny moving arrays of spray nozzles. It's just, when you put it like that, you go, yeah, what were we thinking of? But yes, tiny moving arrays of spray nozzles. Filaments charged with static electricity and primed by a laser on a drum. There's a bunch of different approaches, but what they all have in common, with the exception of laser printing, is they've been developed for and are best suited for color halftone applications. Duh! So the technical innovations are geared towards improving the results for that type of printing. Basically, people want to reproduce color photographs, or they want to do basic type, and those are the two things that the average person is interested in, the average publishing company is interested in. How can we reproduce color photographs more accurately? Well, what about really detailed line artwork? And that's the reaction you get, is why would we even think about that? Of all the technologies that I've used, laser printing has the best line art capabilities, and yet I've still never seen a laser printer that could, in actual practical application, produce 1200 ppi line art results. That is, that you could send a bitmap image consisting of lines a single pixel in width at 1200 ppi, rotated different directions, and expect those lines to appear on the page in a coherent form. Yes, they will technically image at that resolution. That is, output that resolution to the printer's laser imager, but it won't actually make it to paper. The process is really similar to the drum paste photocopiers common in the 1980s and 1990s. And I've already told you the story before of getting a stern talking to from Kim Prenny when I was saying, it's a photocopy. I photocopied it on the office photocopier and pasted it in. Why can't you get it reproduced accurately? It's because it's not line art. It's not a photographic negative. It's a photocopy, which means it's a bunch of black dust flying in loose formation around an image that looks sort of like this. So when you photograph that, you get more dust on top of the dust, and it's just not going to work. That's why you pay what you're paying to get photographic negatives done. That being said, Sean writes, things are changing all the time, and I will keep my ear to the ground. Ooh, don't say ear to the ground. It makes my rib hurt. Anyway, for improvements in one-off printing plateless imaging. And I would love to see the best sample Alfonso could produce, if only for my own edification. So once Grandpa is able to get up out of his chair and actually move around again, I will be taking this up to Alfonso and saying, okay, here's the situation. Sean is more than willing to be convinced, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. Even if / when the technical hurdles are overcome, there's always the issue of that old hockey stick price curve. The bigger the press, the cheaper the results. Which is, again, that's the challenge for Alfonso. If he can figure, as I said to him the last time I was up there visiting, if you can figure out how to do trade paperbacks that look as good as offset printing, and do it on a print run of 50 or 100 copies instead of 1,000 copies or 1,500 copies, I think they probably want to throw you a nice party at Diamond Comic Distributors, because that would definitely solve a lot of the problems that we're having right now, trying to figure out, okay, what is the smallest print run that we can successfully do, maintaining the quality of the trade paperbacks to the best of Sean's ability, and how close is that to a logical number for Diamond to be dealing with. So that's more than enough from me, Sean says. Sorry for the long-winded reply. I am 200 pages into the Jaka's story text layout. We'll keep you updated. Next week will be a brief week as well, and then the week after I'll be back at it. So there you go. Just a little update on what's got our wheels grinding here at Aardvark Anaheim as we try to figure out how to keep the Cerebus trade paperbacks in print and how to make sure that it has the best possible reproduction. And that's the weekly update for this week. And me and my ribs will hopefully see many of you next week for the January 12th weekly update.